All right, let's go ahead and get started with some announcements. As always, we have additional resources. Please visit our community website. There you'll find all the latest, greatest in terms of experts, Q&A. You'll also find a link to the Virtual Academy page where you can register as well as see all our past recordings and that bit.ly link there. If you're watching via YouTube and you like what you're seeing, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. That way you get notified. All our academies are recorded and uploaded to YouTube, so you can see this recording as well as every other academy we've done in the past. So today we have a very special guest speakers from the ITSM team. We have Isabella and Abhinav. Today they're going to share with you how to get service faster with Virtual Agent and the walk-up experience. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Isabella.
Awesome. Thanks, Victor. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us today. We'll just jump right into it. So to start off, I wanted to share all the conversations. Oh, sorry. I apologize. Jumping ahead. Quickly, we're going to go over an overview of Virtual Agent for ITSM conversations and then specifically for walk-up. And then we will go through an exercise that Abhinav will lead, and then we'll take some questions. So now going forward, I wanted to share some of the conversations that we've already released. So there's about 81 new topics or enhancements via the ServiceNow store. These conversations are available today. And as you can see, some of them are main overarching topics with a lot of features and capabilities within them. So we have things for Azure AD, Zoom, Microsoft Exchange, password reset, etc. And then going to the next slide, we have the remaining 81 conversations, and you'll see highlighted manage walk-up. Previously, we had a conversation about walk-up experience, mostly just for checking into appointments, but we have expanded that for managing walk-up. And so that's what we're going to go in today. But first, I wanted to share a little bit more about walk-up. So if we can go to the next slide. So walk-up experience is really to enhance employee experience and increase agent productivity with that walk-up experience. So this application, you can create and manage an on-site IT walk-up venue where requests and issues are fulfilled and solved by experienced and skilled agents in person or remotely. You can configure it to serve all users in your organization by using an inclusive branding as well, such as a tech lounge, a service center, Genius Bar, etc. Some of the current features and capabilities that we are looking at are the requester experience, agent, manager, and admin experience. This would include walk-up experience notifications, scheduling, stockroom management, various walk-up location management, customer satisfaction surveys, dashboard to see improvements and performance. And then all of this is available on Portal and now mobile, for example. So then going in specifically for virtual agent capabilities for walk-up experience, as a user, you should be able to provision to check into a location for their IT service, for all IT service needs using the virtual agent bot. And then as that user, you should be able to book future appointments for walk-up and get the help required for your issues or service requests. So as of Tokyo, we have enhanced the conversation for end users that are looking to book future appointments, be notified when they have an appointment, and check into a location whenever they're ready for that appointment. This is really to increase the awareness of virtual agent and enhance the employee experience. So going on, like I said, this was just going to be brief. The plugins that are required for the walk-up experience and virtual agent are this Glide Virtual Agent, which requires Pro or Enterprise, ITSM Virtual Agent Conversations, Microsoft Exchange Online Spoke, and then walk-up experience plugin as well. Mind you, the Microsoft Exchange Online Spoke does require the Integration Hub license. I'm just going to pause there to see if there were any questions that we wanted to quickly answer before Abhinav took over.
Sure, we did have one question from Anonymous. Are all those new topics automatically showing on everyone's instance for Tokyo, or do the customer need to manually enable something to make them show up?
So I can take that, Victor. So
Sure.
few of the topics has a dependency on spokes like Isabella was walking us through. For example, Microsoft Exchange Online Spoke. So any topics which has these kinds of dependencies on any integration hub spokes, those would be visible on VA Designer only once that particular plugin is activated. So for example, this walk-up experience topic would be available once you have walk-up experience and Microsoft Exchange Online Spoke enabled on the instance. Hope that answers.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so reiterating what Abhinav says, you have to install the Exchange Online Spoke, then you'll see the conversations. Other topics require the Exchange Server Spoke or plugin, or password reset plugin, or in this case, Walkup Experience plugin. So once you install those on top of the ITSM VA Conversations plugins, you'll see them. Awesome. So Abhinav, do you want to take it from here?
Yep. Thank you, Victor and Isabella. So today we'll go over an exercise where we will walk through how to get started with this particular topic, which is manage walkup. Now we have split this exercise into two parts. One would be where we are setting up Microsoft Exchange Online and how we are connecting it to ServiceNow instance so that it works end to end. And then we will just quickly walk through what a walk application looks like on this particular instance. And finally, a quick demo on what the end user experience would be. Now, from a setup perspective, let me start with the first part where it is setting up the application on Azure portal. So before you start off, like we were talking about, you need to have install the Microsoft Exchange Online Spoke. B, you should have a user with the right permissions, admin permissions, to create this application registry on Azure portal. Now, once you have that, the first thing that you need to do is go into managing your Azure AD, Azure Active Directory, where you need to create an application registry first and foremost. So you come here into app registrations. Now you can create a new one by saying new registration, right? And you can provide the details of what the end facing or what you would like the name to be. Now you over here, you see that it's how we are tying it back is we have a ServiceNow single tenant on here. So you can select this and create it. Now redirect URL, you can set it from here itself, or there's another way where, where you can do it by going into a particular app registration. So let me show you what a sample would look like. So for example, let's say we go into ITSM VA SD. Now, once you have created the application registry, you would see a lot of details around what the application ID is, what we have as a directory ID and things around it. Now you are done from an app registration point of view. The second thing is for you to connect to Azure, you need to have a secret code or like we have an authentication method that needs to be set so that ServiceNow instance could communicate here. So just like we did new registration, you can just say new client application. You can just give these settings and add. Once you have done this, you will have a password generated for this particular app registration. Now, what you are looking for or what is the information of importance here is the value, which is the secret code that you need to utilize while you're configuring the connection on ServiceNow. So first was app registry, then was the client's certificates and secrets. Next is, as most of our interactions with Azure happens through API calls, you need to give these permission to the application that you just registered. So that once we set up the ServiceNow instance, we would have that communication channel open with the correct permissions on Azure. And of course, on ServiceNow side, you would have that driven through end user, whenever the end user requests or comes to VA for any of their needs. So once the API, and you can add permissions here. So adding a permission is simply adding the the roles and the roles that is associated with this particular application that would be required for ServiceNow use cases to work. Now, quickly, let me show you one such. So sorry. And let me show you app permissions. So few of the things, few of the kinds of roles that you would see is how whether you have permissions to read and write the calendar, which would be an important aspect for us, because while someone is trying to book a walk-up appointment, we want to help them see their calendar or help them view their calendar while they're booking that appointment. So for it to work, we need to have a delegated access on this particular application that you just created. So that's the third step. So we just went through app registry, certificate and secrets, and then the API permissions. The final thing that is to be done is authentication. Now, authentication is the way that you set which particular instance are you going to connect for this particular application. So you can add a URL, and you can add the ServiceNow instance, something like you have here, right? Now this is, and I'll circle back to this particular information again while we are setting up the ServiceNow communication or connection channel. And we will let you know on what is the URL itself that needs to be provided here. So these are the 4 things that needs to be taken care of manually from Azure portal side before we begin with this setup. Now, I'll take a quick pause here if there's any question, Isabella and Victor, that we should be taking. Else, I can move on to ServiceNow side of configurations. Okay.
I think you're good.
So, yeah, perfect. So the first thing that needs to be done for ServiceNow side is we need to provide system. We have to create system or application registry, just like we did on Azure side. We need to do the same on ServiceNow side. So you need to come to system OAuth under application registry. Now, a few things to note here. Now, I'll be moving into the documentation on how to set up Microsoft Exchange Online. And this lays out the steps that are required while you are setting up this Exchange Online on your instance. So like we were discussing, we need the, this has what are the prerequisites. And then we just talked about the part where we were setting up the Microsoft Azure application. Now, the second is where we are setting up the OAuth on our side on ServiceNow. So once you install and activate Microsoft Exchange Online, you would have these 2 records created automatically in your instance. Now, what needs to be done here is, let's say when go into this particular record, you need to update it with the application registry that you just created. So what do I mean by that? So let's say I am here. Now, this is the name by which it comes default from all of the system when you install Microsoft Exchange Online Spoke. The things to be provided is client ID, client secret, the first and foremost thing. So the client ID is your application ID that you see under app registry. So that's the first information. The second is the client secret. Now, client secret was the information that we were just referring to, which comes up as a value under the new client secret tab or the certificates and secrets. So you need to copy this and paste it over here. And this would take care of the authentication part of this particular authorization OAuth with Azure portal, right? Now, once you have provided these 2 information, let's go into what kind of an grant type is it, right? So this is for, we have 5. So Microsoft Exchange Online is for authorization code. And there's another which we'll talk about, which is a client credential. So here you provide authorization code. The next thing is the authorization URL. Now, this is the URL that would be hit on Azure side to authorize you as a correct user. So here, if you see, there's the first part is common, but what is not is the ID or the, if I open this up, this is the part which would be required and which is unique for each of the application that you register. Now here, this is the information that would be the directory or the tenant ID. So while you add the authorization URL, you need to follow a fixed pattern. And this is again part of your documentation that I was sharing. So this is the directory ID that I was talking about. And once you provide that, same would be the token URL as well. Now let's come to redirect URL. This is the place where you would be connecting this instance onto the Azure application itself. So the how we've or what's the name, the convention for this is your instance URL OAuth redirect.do. And over here, this is the URL that you need to also add in the authentication piece of things. So over here, now this is the URL that you need to add here. So just you can copy it and paste it here while you add the URL. Okay. I already have one. So you can paste it and you're done. So this is setting up the first level of configuration. Yes, so you've so there's a question where it was like, can the secret string be recovered in case it was accidentally deleted? Let's say if you remove it here, you can always come back to Azure portal like I was here, and you can copy the one that you require. So for example, let's say if I create one, I can just copy this one and paste it here. Any other questions, or else I'll move on to the next part. Okay. So here we were setting up Microsoft Exchange Online, which was the authorization code. The grant type was authorization code. The second part is the client credential setup that you need to do. And over here, again, the same thing would work. The client ID is same as what we were looking at. The only thing that changes here is, as it's a client credential, you just need the token URL. Now, the same is followed here, where this should be login.microsoftonline.com and your directory ID, which is again something which you will find as an information here on your overview of the application you just registered. Now, while this is being done along and out of the box, while Microsoft Exchange Online was set up or installed, these were the two records that were created. Now, along with this, there are two profiles that were created and tied back to individually each one of these system authentication or application registry. And this is where this would come back. This is an information that would which we need to utilize later on in the next set of setup. So once you are done with the application registry, the next thing is for you to create the credentials. So under connections and credentials, you need to go into credentials and create a new one. Now, this would be a OAuth 2.0 credentials that you need to create. And you need one for the Microsoft Exchange Online, which was of type authorization code. And you will need one for the client credential type, grant type. And this is where the OAuth entity profile comes into picture, where you need to, the one that was installed is to be tied back. Now, if you look at it, these are the two different types of grant type, which you will be configuring as part of the credentials here. Now, if I just show you a sample of it, these are the two that we have set up already as an 2.0 authorization. And this is the information that you would see for the credentials. Once you are done with it, you need to click on this to get the auth token. And once you are done with this, one part, and once you are done with both the online credentials and the client credentials, you are done with the credential setup part for Microsoft Exchange Online. The final bit that needs to be done is creating the connections. So you will have again Microsoft Exchange Online credentials. So you need to provide access to graph.microsoft.com, which is the hub for all your APIs that would be triggered and the functionality that is extended by Microsoft. So, and this step again would be something which is already part of your the documentation that we are sharing. And Victor, if you can paste the link for this particular documentation, that would be great. So once
Already
you
did,
set
yep.
this, once the connection is set, your instance would be ready to use Microsoft Exchange Online, not just for walkup or VA, but any application that has an integration with Microsoft Exchange Online. Now, once this is done, we are good from a setup perspective, from a communication between ServiceNow and Azure. And the next part that we would move into is a quick look at what the topic does as of today and how is this particular topic going to help our end user. So this is an instance where we have walkup enabled, and that's where this particular topic could be seen on the designer. So if I go into the designer, you would be able to see this. Now, I see this topic. Now, one thing to note is all of our out-of-the-box topic is a read-only topic. So if you want to make any changes or customization, you need to clone it and then activate it. And once that is done, and once your and the other part that I wanted to walk you all through was a quick glimpse of what a walkup location looks like. So walkup location is where you would have the setup done on setting up a tech lounge where people can walk in person or can get a remote help on their IT service needs. So you'll need to set up on what the operational hours is, what are the different management and admin related configuration for the location. And once this is done, you should the end user would be able to utilize this topic. Now, on the left hand side of the screen, what we have is my calendar. So where I have a meeting set up between 6 to 7 a.m. and 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Now, while I'm scheduling an appointment on for walk-up or a tech lounge, generally we do not have a view into what my calendar looks like. So with this topic, one of the value that we want to give to the end user is where they would have a view into what their calendar looks like, and the slots that are already booked would not show up for them to make an appointment at. So let me show you a demo book a walk-up appointment. So what it does is it triggers off a topic where you can schedule an appointment, reschedule your appointment as well. Now, here we have NLU working in the background to identify what the intent was. So all of the base framework that exists for walkup as of today, or we as of today, works as is here as well. So I choose a region that I want to visit the tech lounge for. It gives me some basic information about it, and I can select what kind of an session would it be. So let me say it's an in-person, and I want to visit tech lounge tomorrow. So at this point of time, earlier, we didn't have while I was booking this appointment, I would not have a view into what my calendar looked like. And but now, if you see, I would only be shown the list of slots where the lounge is open and free, as well as my calendar also looks free. So between 10:30 to 11:30, you would not see any of the slots coming up. Now, let's say I choose 12:30 to 2 o'clock as a slot. I can confirm and book this appointment. Now, one thing with, again, because we are integrating with Microsoft Exchange Online, we have that control of adding this particular appointment onto the calendar itself. And this is where it gets added onto my calendar. So that was a quick demo for what the topic would look like and how would it function for the end user. We can open up for questions if there's any.
Thanks, Abhinav. So yeah, we'll open up for questions if there are any questions. I'm also going to shoot out a poll about launch ups or about walk-ups, sorry. Launch a poll about walk-ups. So yeah, feel free to answer that poll right now. In the meantime, we'll pause for questions. And yeah, this thank you, Abhinav and Isabella. We also do read the post-event surveys after the academy, so please fill those out after this as well. And someone did mention they wanted to hear more about ITSM topics or ITSM related content, so this was in response to that. Someone did ask, how can I find the session recording? The session recording will be available on YouTube certainly by the end of the week, if not, next Monday for 100% absolute. So yeah, go ahead and get those poll answers in the last minute. Otherwise, we'll wait. We'll pause if there are any other questions. And like what Abhinav said, and what I think bears repeating is that a lot of Azure and Microsoft Exchange setup, but walk-up is just one topic that takes advantage of it. There's many other topics that take advantage of Exchange Online setup that benefits from this. Managed meetings is a virtual agent topic that comes to mind. I don't know if you know more off the top of your head.
Can you come again with the question, Victor? I was reading through the questions in the Q&A. Can you come again with the question?
Oh, sure. Sorry. I was just saying there are other virtual agent topics that use this Azure configuration you shared. I think managed meetings was one. Are there others as well? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, so there is setting out of office replies, then there is booking conference room topics that can be, that leverages Microsoft Exchange Online.
Awesome. So yeah, so we have some questions here from Karen. Can the walk-up location view, limit view to only those locations in your state? Like California, Nevada, etc.
So at the top of my mind, Karen, we do show the location which is closest to you. And I can check, Isabella, let's check with Harsh on whether we can limit what locations are shown to the user depending upon their location.
Absolutely. Let's get back to Karen.
Awesome, thanks. And then Anonymous asks, can we create a shared mailbox in Outlook and connect with this feature?
Before I answer that, is there a specific reason that we want to create a shared mailbox rather than use a specific mailbox? So the reason I asked that question is the specific value prop for this particular topic is to have a view into my calendar, as well as while someone is booking a delegated walk-up appointment. So let's say Victor wants to book a walk-up appointment for me. Victor should have a view into my calendar. And that's where this particular topic would be very helpful. So if it's a shared mailbox, it won't give you an insight into a specific user's how their calendar looks like or how their day looks like before you schedule a walk-up appointment.
Yes, Anonymous clarifies, yes, we would like to have more agents to be able to call back the person. I'm not, this calendar is for the end user, not for the agent, right? So from that perspective, I don't know if a common inbox would help. I don't think.
As well, can we connect Harsh with whoever has this question?
Absolutely. If
yes.
they want to just ping us in the chat their email, we can get back to them.
Yeah. Yeah. So
just
another.
Oh, sorry.
sorry, I know we're at time. So for if you had other questions, if you see the link that Eric posted in the Q&A, you can comment your question in that thread in the comments, and we can get back to you via community. And that way, like we won't do email tag. It'll just be out there and searchable and followable. So yeah, if you have any follow-up questions, please go to that link with all the recordings and paste your questions there. So we're at time. So thank you everyone for joining. Abhinav, Isabella, thank you as well. This is super helpful. Oh, we got an email there. So it's from ING, Isabella, Abhinav. So if you want to do a quick copy and paste from there, go ahead and do so. So yeah, we will see everyone again in 2 weeks for the next Virtual Agent Academy. I believe the next one will be on IAR for HR. Don't hold me to that, but very likely looking to be that. So again, thank you everyone for joining and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.